Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ESL One New York City. It's Madison Square Garden Theatre. Dota 2 action all the way until this evening. Semi-final 2 underway right now. We've had one game already. And gentlemen, it was pretty tight for most of the game. Some good team fights. And then EG just played it very patiently, waited for their opportunities and took the match. It
felt like a very close one, where it's just like constantly back and forth. Seb and I were talking about how, oh, now this team is winning. Oh, now this team is winning. Just constantly with one team just capitalizing on the mistakes of the other one. And it just seems like Bone7 really did his best to keep them in the game.
Yeah, really feels like Bone7 was the playmaker for Cloud9. EG overall had a better game understanding. I think a better plan.
Much better plan.
They always were the one knowing if they can or can't take the fight. Cloud9 was more like, well, if we don't defend the base, we're going to lose, so let's just give it a try. Or we won, or we lost. That was basically their game plan. I think Arteezy gave EG really many troubles. He actually got ganked many times for no reasons and did crucial mistakes in the fight. They actually lost. So, but he just stepped up his game after, and I mean, he played a good Lycan overall, but I feel like he did many crucial mistakes. Besides that, EG had a really, really dominant performance. Exceptional play by Zai once again.
I think EG's lineup really worked well together. And I mean, the Witch Doctor at the end there was such a strong force, combining that with Trient. And I just thought their lineup made more sense to me as the game went on. You saw that it worked well together.
The first four bans, if I remember rightly, are exactly the same.
The same.
Identical.
Yeah.
When you think about it, we called the Necrophos, and they got Treant Protector plus Witch Doctor, which is AoE healing. So, I mean, they had that in mind, right? It's like they baited the Spectre pick. They knew exactly what they wanted to do versus that.
They had really good push, good counter push. It was very tough for Cloud9. I thought they would have taken it there for a few minutes. Like, it was a back and forth, but yeah, like you said, I think their plan overall was better.
In the new game here, I think Cloud9 is really happy with this trade, getting the Brewmaster and the Visage for the Bat Rider. Even if they pick up the Skywrath Mage, which I don't think they will, it's still like Cloud9 favorite heroes right now.
This is the first series where we have actually teams stealing heroes from each other, right? I mean, the Visage looks to be a key pick for both teams.
Yeah.
Cloud9 actually got out-drafted last game in the sense that they actually were surprised of the first pick Visage, I think. The draw ban into the Visage pick really surprised them. They would have, like, if they had to first pick Visage, they would give away Skywrath plus Brewmaster. They were forced to pick the Brewmaster and let the Visage. This time around, they know what's going on, they get it.
Something you and I were talking about when we watched the last game is, it says something about how strong Evil Geniuses is when you have to ban out the Death Prophet and the Razor just to avoid Arteezy getting those two heroes, just because of how strong they are in this current meta game. But if you really want to counter EG, what it seems you need to do is just ban out the Abaddon and the Treant Protector and just make sure that PPD is not at all in his comfort zone. Because those two particular heroes, when he's on them, their win rate is just remarkable. It is.
Yeah, actually, Arteezy in the last month has 8 matches on Razor. He's won 6 and 9 on Drow. And only won 55% of them, though.
9 games on Drow?
9 games on Drow in the last month alone. That includes both patches.
Death Prophet.
Yeah. You mean Death Prophet?
No.
Drow?
Yeah.
He's played 9 games of Drow in the last month.
When?
Yeah, which is
he used
why
to play like months
sticks out. It's like, what, I don't understand, but okay.
Looks like it, yeah.
That's
so well.
9 on Drow, but only won 55%, 8 on Razor. They're the top 2 picked heroes for Arteezy in the last 30 days.
Has he played under an alias?
That's for sure something.
Is this the same Arteezy?
Actually, I've been playing for him. I've been playing on his account.
So that's the 55% win rate.
Exactly, right, yes, so you know that.
They would
still be proud of that.
Yeah, they won't be getting the draw range of that game for sure. Since the Visage got denied, I think it's a really bad pick to get right now. I mean, it's very weak versus an early Blink Dagger and a Visage Familiars. It's a free kill, like, for any game the Rangers gonna play. I don't think it's an option for them.
So Jakiro is a very versatile hero. We've seen it been played by Universe. We've also seen Fear been playing it, and it of course can be played as a support hero. I think we're gonna see Fear play it.
It might be a core Jakiro. Yeah,
they're playing a core every time though, right?
Then it's
never
lane.
support for EG.
Yeah, exactly. And they already have the Bat Rider, so I think it's safe to assume that Universe is gonna take that one again. He's so comfortable on it.
Oh yeah, I just want to watch the entire map burn, I think.
I mean, we finally get to see the effect of Bat Rider last game. It's so hard, like easy ganks, easy initiation, always someone dying before the fight starts. That's why that hero is first pick material.
I mean, some of these ganks were just set up without anyone else but the Bat Rider and a few illusions or some dogs or some birds.
EG were really good at using, I mean, they weren't overkilling people, you know? We just need the bird and the Death Ward, then we kill the Spectre. We don't need to be 5 there, no panic, no nothing. Just we're calm, we know what to do. We just, get the job done and win the game.
Do you think Terrorblade is the new Lycan? Just like ban every game, like he's just
He might become that.
I think
Him and DP.
Loda kind of scared everyone yesterday with him, didn't they?
I wouldn't be
and we've
surprised
seen
if
him
we saw
banned.
an 82C come out just to
5 seconds
hotfix
remaining.
the Terrorblade.
It's kind of a weird hero. We were talking about it yesterday, how it seems like his ultimate is not his ultimate, right? He has Metamorphosis. He has two ultimates, Metamorphosis and Sunder, and you don't really skill Sunder until later on in the game because it's extremely unreliable. Metamorphosis is just a weird concept, a non-ultimate with a 2.5 minute cooldown. The other highest non-ultimate cooldown is 60 seconds on Tombstone.
The thing is that we haven't seen the Thunder Terrorblade. I mean, we saw it a bit with Loda and the Silencer, like Terrorblade Silencer combo, but it's also very, very scary because he farms really fast and then he has 2 lives basically. So
Yeah, I thought we did see it yesterday.
yeah,
we
He's
did.
been used a couple of times,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
What I mean is
He
that
had that moment where he had 3 kills in there as well.
yeah.
He turned it around.
we never saw the double, like the use the meta and then use the Thunder. That hero is so versatile. He can. I don't
10
think it's played to the
seconds
maximum potential yet.
How do you
I
fix
think you
him?
probably.
How do you
Well,
fix
I don't think you do. I think you just nerf Loda.
5 seconds.
You nerf his base damage, I'd say.
What about Black? Today, like his performance was also incredible.
I'm just not a big
That's
fan of
black
the
as well.
concept of having a non-ultimate with a 2.5 minute cooldown. I just feel like it doesn't fit into the game. He's it's fine that the hero is unique and totally different from everything else, but when it's a non-ultimate with a 2.5 minute cooldown and the other one that's long is Tombstone on a minute, the discrepancy between that's just, it's a totally different concept inside the Dota world, having a non-ultimate like that.
So what you're thinking, remove Sunder and make his Metamorphosis his
That would be a
ultimate?
possibility. You need to rework the hero then if you make Metamorphosis ultimate, because you can't make Sunder a non-ultimate either. It's way too good for that. Then how do you...
Second
Or,
spell.
It's a tricky
or
design,
you introduce it as an either or. You can only go one or other.
So like choose when you're level 6.
think
it triggers the
How do you want to play your hero?
Yeah, exactly.
It triggers the 2 cooldowns when you use one,
that
right?
would be interesting.
I think it's the core of the hero you need to change, like his attack damage, his attack speed, his everything, his stat gain,
Speaking
anything.
of reworked heroes, what do you guys think about the new Bloodseeker? Loads of people have been tweeting me and asking to ask you guys, what do you think about the new Bloodseeker?
Well,
Obviously, he's not in captain.
I'm personally crying just because, I mean, I'm relegated to only playing public games now ever since I quit playing. So
Right.
Bloodseeker was the one hero that I had a lot of fun with. Everyone
10
probably
seconds
knows that I was
As the only person in the game, you
I
were
was
having fun with.
deeply in love with him, and now our romance has been abruptly.
Really, you're not a fan anymore?
Start playing the new Ricky then.
I hate the new one.
Wow.
That's a hero I was hoping we would see in at least one game, the new Rikimaru. I think the new ultimate.
I think the new Bloodseeker might potentially still be very imbalanced. I'm convinced the old one was imbalanced, but yeah, the new one I think could very well be very imbalanced.
Speaking of Rikimaru, he's actually available in Captain's mode. I'm
Yeah.
surprised nobody has
10
used it. Like,
seconds.
Nobody wants to be the first, right?
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
like
they tried it in
he's,
scrims and it's not working.
he's
5
very weak in lane
seconds
compared to what he
remaining.
used to be because you don't have Blink Strike in the lane anymore. But once you get, at least the way the teams are playing in this
Reserve
tournament, where you
time.
don't challenge the safe lane at all, it
Yeah.
seems. In all the games, the safe lane's been given free farm. So
Yeah,
you can
that's a
farm a
good point.
Rikimaru to level 6 with a Diffusal Blade. You could just jump from one hero to the other and kill them off.
I think a
his
lot of-
only weakness is he's really bad at pushing, and maybe that's why teams don't like him so much.
I think a lot of people are under the impression that when you can counter one of his spells so easily,
Evil geniuses.
Alright, so
turn
it's
to
not worthwhile.
We can comment on that Darkseer peak. Obviously a great counter to Treant Protector because of the shield from Darkseer just removes the armor instantly, and that's a really good thing to have versus Treant Protector. We haven't seen really the armor effect last game just because it was a 5-man push and lineup from EG, so it was actually hard to spot where was the armor
I think
used.
it saved
and
Arteezy a couple
it saved Arteezy many times, and it's really hard to
10
see that in the middle of the Spectre ultimate, the Death Ward effect, etc. But that armor, when you have actually
5
nothing to
seconds
remove it,
remaining.
then it's a lot of instances of damage that's just denied. So
Reserve
having the
time.
Darkseer, obviously a
10
great hero to have with the
seconds.
Sand King and the Brewmaster.
Cloud9's turn to ban.
This is a lot of confidence from EG, I feel, picking the PA into this lineup.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think
not
this is a good
convinced about
PA
this
game
pick.
at all.
Yeah,
You're running
me
it into
neither.
a Sand King who can instant stun you. There's Ion Shell on 2 melee heroes who want to be in the fight, Sand King and Brew. And you've even got the Visage who has significant
seconds
magic
remaining.
burst, which Blur obviously can't do anything about. The Soul Assumption is going to kill off Arteezy this
5
game.
seconds
The other thing is the
remaining.
wall. I mean, so if PA goes through the wall, you've suddenly got a
Yeah.
PA illusion running around critting everybody.
I mean,
Reserve
Drunken Haze
time.
alone it
Yeah,
makes
Drunken
PA
Haze too.
off-putting to me.
There's a lot of things that will make this a hard game for Arteezy. I think this is a game in which you might have to... well, if you probably have to get BKB on the PA early to even fight here.
Yeah. On the other hand, if he had the same crit luck he did yesterday, there's no problems.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. Just click Blink on a target, double crit.
Yeah.
Enigma is still a very good pick for EG right now. I really think that Cloud9 should last ban the Enigma. Feels like it's a really good pick for them. The only thing they need right now, it's something to force back the Darkseer, because Bone 7 is a very aggressive player by nature, an offlaner. And I don't think THG and Treant Protector on the safe lane can actually do something versus the Darkseer.
Skywrath?
Skywrath could be a good pick, but then they commit to a less greedy pick.
I don't like Skywrath.
It's Size Hero, the last one, isn't it?
Actually, ban out the Doom. This is a hero that we haven't really seen at all this tournament. It's
Nope.
just been out of the picture.
I think EG might very well pick up the Enigma.
I think it's a very good pick for them. Yeah, definitely. And we're also missing the Eternal Envy hero. It could be many different things. A hard carry or not. Actually, they don't even need that. Even Void could be quite good here. They have a really good setup for Void, I feel like.
They have great team fight with Void, but he doesn't handle the matchup against neither Jakiro nor PA that well.
That is true.
He's also not good against Treant, but with Iron Shell they can make up for that. So it's definitely a possible pick here. I like this a lot. I think this is a really good pick.
Oh, yeah.
Another solution to the armor with Dark Pact.
That's a great pick.
A very spell damage oriented carry early on, so he can deal with the PA. Can actually kill her off almost alone by hitting a good pounce in Dark Pact. With Iron Shell, it is a kill.
Yeah,
like if she has no one to blink to.
Right now, I think the lineup heavily favors Cloud9.
I like their draft a lot this game, a lot more than in the previous one.
It's a wonderful draft that they have this time. And when you're THG is the hero that needs to stand his ground, you know, be able to land spells. If the fight is completely chaotic and you have the Slark just jumping around, the Sand King, the birds, it's gonna be so hard for Fear, if he is playing the THG or any player, to actually land good ice passes, good ultimates. So,
and another thing about Slark that we didn't mention yet, Dark Pact is like a 0 cast point. So if you prepare for the lasso to come in, you can remove it like pretty much instantly, get rid of that. So there's a lot of potential here for Cloud9.
Right, Wraith King is the last one, which Fear will pick up, and we are ready, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your seats, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Can Cloud9 make it back into the final by pulling back a map here? They are 1-0 down against Evil Geniuses.
That's right, we're back with game number 2. Myself, Capitalist, as well as Merlini. And Merlini, we heard the analysts heavily favoring that Cloud9 draft. I gotta say, I'm loving it too. Do you side with everyone else?
I think it's good. I think it's maybe like on par as the last one. It's just much better because it's outside of what Cloud9 normally plays. And it's just much more fight-oriented. How often do you see EE on something that's like not a, you know, Morphling, Naga, Spectre kind of thing? And
right.
This game is a Slark. And also, I don't like the PA pick at all. Generally, I think that the times that EG has picked it up, it's been very successful for them, and it has been in a position that it can thrive. But just Panda alone, as they were talking about, it just makes it extremely difficult for PA to kill. And if she has absolutely no lockdown, he has many ways to evade her attacks, and she's forced to get like a BKB or MKB later. And on top of that, the ultimate is just brutal.
Yeah, it seems like that's what everyone is really locking in on, is that Phantom Assassin. The rest of Evil Genius's lineup, I mean, there's some favorite heroes. You've got a Zai sitting on the Jakiro, actually. There's going to be a one position, Wraith King. Universe on the Bat Rider, Arteezy taking up that mid Phantom Assassin. Last but not least, PPD on the Treant Protector. So there's a lot of Evil Genius favorites when it comes to these heroes. The Phantom Assassin, it seems like, is what everybody's locking in on as their biggest fear. But speaking of fear,
I also don't like the Wraith King that Fear is playing. It's not a really melee friendly at all. Like, melee heroes can get kited very easily by Slark. There's a Brewmaster that you don't want to be in melee range. Sand King can kite you extremely easily, and Darkseer can just make your farming time very difficult. And you don't want to be caught into a Vacuum and Sand King combo, which used to be very, very prevalent. And just being a melee hero by nature just makes that even more of a likely situation.
And it seems like there's a lot here that the Slark is going to be very successful at dispelling, whether it's just an attempt at a lasso initiation, the obvious missile from the Wraith King, or even the Overgrowth from PPD. All very easy spells for Slark to be able to slip those bounds of that control and continue to be aggressive against many of these heroes. And as I said, a spell-oriented hero, which means you can deal a lot of damage. Oftentimes, Slark is looked at as a carry who, like, he gets his basic, maybe a couple stat items, upgraded boots, then he gets that Blink Dagger, and he's kind of good for the next 15 minutes, and eventually he'll farm up a Scotty and start being that right-click hero. But for a good amount of time, he's just dependent on being able to use his spells to provide most of his damage.
He's also amazing against Bat Rider, too. And
right.
A well-played Slark can completely outplay a Bat Rider and render Lasso useless.
Universe got to be careful here with this bottom lane, as it is a very dangerous lane indeed. Any lane that has a Slark on it, man, is just so much dangerous for the offlaner to go up against, because that is a great holding ability. One support disable, one good stun, and Slark being able to land the pounce, and it's pretty much over for that offlaner.
What Bone7's going to do up here too. He was level 1. He got like 1 creep of experience, and PPD is just completely zoning him out. Does he go to the jungle? Does he just completely give up on this lane? Does he stay up here so that the 2 supports have to kind of stay around that area, or what? But he just can't get anything.
In your opinion, which is better, for Bone7 to go into his own jungle, actually get some experience, or by laying down a lot of ion shells, get a lot of farm out of this lane, maybe not experience, but a lot of gold, and also put a lot of pressure on the Wraith King, who is, you know, a melee carry up against a Darkseer? That's a classic troubling sign for the laning phase, which is going to be burning through so much regen of his.
Well, if they pull and they don't manage to kill the creep wave, it can be pulled up to the point where he can get level 2. And once he gets level 2, he should be okay.
Right.
But he is not going to be okay at this point, just because of the amount of control that PBD has been able to provide. And I've seen him do this many times with Boots first Treant Protector and just completely destroy Darkseers.
Yeah, he's just been giving him the old right click, and that's all it takes to force the Darkseer back far enough. He's not getting any experience. Zai, in fact, can be heading his way into his own jungle, and if he wants to, just stack things up for the Batrider to be able to make a decent recovery. So at the same time, while they're successfully shutting out that offlaner from getting any experience, they also can prep the jungle for their own offlaner to get a big experience lead, pick up that fast blink dagger, and start rotating around the map and start shutting down these key important heroes. The last game, we had the Brewmaster, who was doing so well for the side of Cloud9. Fada was farming up that mid lane and getting a very quick blink dagger. And we were talking about how fast the Batrider is able to pick up the blink dagger and whether or not he can actually put some pressure on some of these heroes. The same thing applies, I think, for this matchup for Evil Geniuses. If they can get that lasso and Arteezy hitting that level 6 or 7, has that coup de grace available, they can easily pop Fada during that amount of time with the right RNG.
And on top of that, they've already started controlling the runes too. So if Darkseer goes bottom, that means the 2 supports are free to do whatever they want, as you said, stacking, but they can also secure the rune for Jakiro at this point. Arteezy doesn't have his bottle yet, but they can actually just start buffing up Arteezy to the point where he needs to be able to just maybe just kill Slark before he can Shadow Dance, or kill Panda before he splits, as you mentioned. So, I mean, C9 did a very poor job of controlling them to the extent that they should of last game, and this game might be very similar.
Now, one thing we haven't really talked about, the side of Cloud9, we're running a Sand King as well as a Visage. Both of these heroes are able to do so much going into the late game. Aoi 2000's Visage is legendary. He's always able to find a lot of farm. He picks up a pretty fast Aghanim Scepter. Even under the worst circumstances, he seems to always be able to find that gold, and then transitions that into either being a very, very active force in team fights with the familiars, or oftentimes a very heavy split pusher that is able to give his team a lot of room to work around. With one lane always being pushed in, the rest of Cloud9 can focus on just being able to divide their forces between 2 others. But we also have the Sand King, Pylai Sand King, another hero that's able to take a lot of advantage of early amount of farm, pick up a Blink Dagger, maybe a Veil of Discord. He's also a good jungling hero, and this is a big advantage, I would say, for Cloud9, while Evil Geniuses have the Batrider, who can make that recovery thanks to stacks. Cloud9 have their own stacking mechanism, and it's going to be with a support picking up that farm and trying to go for like that 9-minute blink daggers, sometimes the faster you would see it on a Sand King, but even 12, 15 minutes in is still really good timing.
Yeah, and they had to feel pretty comfortable because EG can't do the same thing last game, which was threaten their towers very heavily with a Lycanthrope with Visage and Mass Sustain. This time they have Wraith King and PA not very good at sieging towers, and they do have the Jakiro in addition to their lineup right now, but it's not going to be enough because he is a support and not in the farming role. So
Bone7 was looking to be able to grab that top rune, but it will be snagged by Zai, grabs the bounty. Bottom lane, meanwhile, Universe with his haste rune is trying to intercept some of that pull, or at least be a part of the experience as much as possible. And, well, he picked up his level 2, so he's got both the Sticky Napalm and the Firefly. That's a big difference. Both of these offlaners are very dependent on getting their level 2. Universe needs to be able to have that Sticky Napalm to be a little bit more aggressive against the supports and not allow himself to be just constantly harassed out of lane. And, of course, level 2 for the Darkseer means you get that escape mechanism, the Surge, available to you, which up against this lane from Evil Geniuses works really, really well. They have a slow with a Treant Protector Leech Seed. Obviously, Surge doesn't care about that, and a very, very small disable with the Ice Path.
But now C9 has a little bit of trouble because they have too many people in their jungle. Aoi likes to pull, likes to get a lot of farm. Piloting, he's Sand King, he needs to stack and pull. And Bone 7 has been forced to move into the jungle now. And EG can kind of take advantage of this by playing completely greedy on their own and knowing that they can probably be more efficient come a few minutes from now just because the C9 has too many farmers there.
So if that's an issue, what is Bone 7 like? Does he just farm up his lane until he picks up level 2 or 3, gets a soul ring, and goes back to the off lane? Or do you think he fully commits to the jungle at this point, seeing as the defensive tri-lane from Evil Genius is a bit too scary for him?
Well, it depends on what Universe wants to do. If Universe 1 is trying to contest the stacks, which is a very risky play that other offlaners would make, then he can probably, the other supports might be forced to try and mess with him instead of farming up. But since he's been moving to their own jungle, he can do whatever he wants. Either or would be better.
RTZ taking a lot of damage here from Feta. This 1 versus 1 matchup is going quite well for Feta, sitting at 21-5 compared to the 15-2, and has also been able to force RTZ to burn through a lot of regen so far. Meanwhile, the top lane was actually being pushed out from the side of Evil Geniuses, but Bone 7 gets there in time to clean up most of the experience and a good amount of gold as well. Instead of the Soul Ring, he actually went for the bottle, which is something that I think with the change-up of runes is a big buff to some offlaners who like to be able to get that additional bottle. Multiple bottles on one team seems a lot more viable than it was before. But do you think this is still the right choice, the bottle over the Soul Ring?
Yeah, I think it's fine. He's had a pretty tough time, and he always wants to be able to keep his HP top just in case they do make a move, and they're highly over-leveled compared to him at this point.
And now he's able to get a nice little pull off thanks to that Dire side off lane. He's able to pull this hard camp, and this will be really helpful. He may or may not be able to get the actual gold for the last hits, but even just the experience and pulling the lane back, probably the most important part is going to be playing into.
Thinking stole a centaur right here too with his illusion. That's unfortunate for Universe, but he's still doing okay.
And he's also stacking up and farming his camp right now, already sitting at 1,000 gold 5 minutes in, and probably going to be going straight for that Blink Dagger. Very unlikely we see Arcane Boots out of this Sand King, as it is a rare build. You're able to just utilize the mana that you have to farm up the Blink Dagger, and the faster Blink Dagger you get, the more likely you're able to have a stronger impact going into the mid-game. Top lane, Bone 7 gets caught by the Ice Path, and Veer just barely gets in range of that stun, and this could spell the end of Bone 7's first life. There it is, first blood being picked up by PPD. And a good start for Evil Geniuses with this static laning phase. They get that extra bit of net worth required.
Yeah, and Darkseer has fallen a little bit out of favor just because he is extremely difficult to lane in that level 1 to 2 phase. And with the popularity of tri-lanes right now, he just can't get level 2. And he spent way too much time trying to get it. He sat around for a couple of waves and now it's just super far behind. EE misses a pounce on bottom lane.
And while he gets out, the rest of Cloud9 are going to be looking for something a little bit different here. We've got 2 different heroes sitting behind Feta. The haste goes in, double Ion Shell as well. RTZ in some serious trouble as he gets hit by the stun. The clap follow-up, and look at the power of double Ion Shell. Just destroys the poor Phantom Assassin. Didn't even have a chance.
Very well executed game too. And Aoi will spot Zai going for this haste rune on bottom, and immediately 3 heroes from Cloud9 going over there, but he's fine.
So rotating Zai now to this bottom lane. I mean, he's a very, very tanky support, so he can deal with a certain amount of aggression, and this means he can play forward, get some of the experience that his Batrider. Oh no, Eternal Envy actually snags Zai, and maybe they have enough damage to be able to pop him. Aoi, one last nuke, couldn't get it in time. And Jakiro walks himself away just barely, as Eternal Envy, with that snag on the haste rune, could have spelled the end for that Jakiro.
I wonder if it's going to be a Blink Rush from him. I'd probably say is what he's going to go for. He has 1,400 gold right now, and it is very, very good versus Batrider, and if they can catch a PA with that, with an Ion Shell.
It also means inherently you put a lot more pressure on the offlane. The solo heroes that go into this lane can no longer deal with a Slark that is this farmed up and has that kind of initiation. They can't even just sit at a distance and try and clean up experience, because that long-range initiation of the Blink Dagger is going to force them entirely out.
And now Fear has a Midas too, so he's very, very farmed.
You agree with this build? The Midas over potentially like a Blink Dagger, the early aggression?
Some people don't like it. I think it's very good versus Darkseer though. And it just gets rid of Ion Shell every 100 seconds. And he is going to need a fair amount of farm to compensate for RTZ's lack of farm. 0-1 and 0, 29 CS compared to 45 on Panda. So I think it's fine. They're not aiming to win the game by 30, 35. Although they would like to, but they probably can't, so it's okay.
So playing for drawing out the game possibly. Brewmaster is going to be able to pick up his Blink Dagger right now, and will be flying it to him. So that's obviously a huge upgrade. The double blinks could mean that Cloud9 could play this very, very aggressively in the next 5 to 10 minutes. They may not have the greatest pushers in the world, but they do certainly have enough initiators with that double blink.
They should. They need to keep Arteezy down so he's irrelevant for all the games. And he was already irrelevant in the laning phase. Not that he can do anything about it. It's a Panda versus a PA.
Yeah.
And even with tree armor, it's not going to matter. He's not going to be able to farm that much.
Oh, jump in, Feta. He goes for PPD here. He does have the ultimate if he wants to drop it, but I think this is pretty wise from him. I'm not sure if you can actually kill that Treant Protector, especially once the Leech Seed goes out. It seems like that might have been an ultimate put to waste, trying to kill just a support like that. So he holds on to it. Bottom lane, Jakiro actually being dove quite heavily here from the side of Eternal Envy. He does have a pounce up in just a second. Arteezy, oh, nice ultimate coming out from Eternal Envy, and that'll easily get him away as the Blink Dagger goes out and he returns back to his lane to continue to farm.
Look at Arteezy now. He has Boots, Bottle, Poor Man's Shield, and the Quelling Blade. And he's forced to TP to try and save Jakiro because he's looking for other ways to catch up and farm.
Oh, middle lane once again going for PPD, but again, Feta will hold on to his ultimate and not actually going for that kill. Instead, just harassing the Treant Protector a little bit, making sure he feels the pain. Another hero that we haven't looked at in quite a little bit of time, Pylai is continuing to farm up the jungle and is about to pick up that Blink Dagger. So a third Blink Dagger now for the side of Cloud9. An insane amount of initiation. Rarely do you see this many initiating tools this early into the game.
Yeah, and that's going to prove to be a lot of trouble, especially since Batrider is just barely closing on his, and Wraith King might get his soon too, but he's not a level 11, and he already skilled his ultimate too, so if they kill him at this point, it's going to set him back significantly. And you'll see Wraith Kings usually hold their skill point too. I'm surprised he put a skill point in it. It's a little bit more for supports, but still.
Right. Yeah, just being able to, if you're in a really bad situation, just give up that life rather than giving up that all-important reincarnation with the very, very long cooldown. It can be rather harmful for you to lose it early on and decreases your power in team fights significantly. Treant Protector heading down to this bottom lane. They do have the living armor working for them, and while there's all the initiation in the world for the side of Cloud9, again, not a whole lot of pushing power. Slark isn't known to be a terribly good physical damage dealer early on to the game. Brewmaster, same thing, more all about his ultimate than anything else, and the same applies to the Darkseer. So they don't really have any pushing power. It seems like, while they have all the initiation in the world, the towers are going to be really tough to take already, but then you throw in the living armor as well. Jump in, top lane, they're going to be able to grab Fear with the pounce. He does have their reincarnation ready to go, so they're gonna have to chase a long ways just to kill him once here, but it might just be one is all they need. Fear falls, Eternal Envy and his guys are gonna be sticking here. They throw down the wall of Replica. Here comes the epicenter from Pylai. Gets off the Burrow Strike, and it looks like they will kill Fear. Where were the rotations from the side of Evil Geniuses? Was that wise?
They don't want to
just to give him up.
They can't fight into the panel.
Well, PPD, he's going to be an extra kill here as Cloud9 dive way past the tier 1 tower to be able to finish him off, and they give up a 2-for-1 exchange. Evil Geniuses, they farm up the other lanes, but obviously not worth it for the side of EG.
Yeah, and definitely reincarnation could have just been held as in the form of a skill point there, and it could have put EG in a bad position. Well, it kind of did, because PPD didn't actually need to die there.
Middle tower is under attack.
But now they lose their tower, and PA still very, very underfarmed. And like looking at a net worth 3,500, around the same as Batrider, but significantly eclipsed by the Panda and the Slark. And I think it's going to continue to remain this way unless they manage to sneak in a Roshan on the back of Vampiric Aura and perhaps a Vlad's. They actually have a pretty good lineup for Roshan, though. Liquid Fire as well as Tree Armor, Lifesteal, and Blur.
Yeah, and Phantom Assassin's potential heavy amount of physical damage with Coup de Grace kicking into play. Right now, Arteezy is just sitting on his upgraded treads. Does he have anything else coming to him? This Phantom Assassin is just so underfarmed right now, sitting in the middle of the pack. They did get that tower, though, in the top lane. It took him a while there between Bone 7 and Feta, but they finally do claim it, and I feel like that's very important. That early tier 1 tower, 12 minutes in, for a lineup like this, up against Living Armor, I'm not exactly expecting it. But it's just because Evil Genius is kind of refusing to make that rotation, because as you said, they can't afford to fight him to the Brewmaster ultimate.
She can't farm anywhere either. Top lane is occupied by Darkseer, mid lane is occupied by a Panda with a Blink Dagger, bottom lane is a Slark with a Blink Dagger too, and the jungle is even occupied by Batrider, so there's nowhere for Arteezy to farm.
Yeah, and the combo just by itself from the Slark practically kills the Phantom Assassin, so he's got to be so careful at all times. His biggest hope is being able to, in fact, I'm surprised they don't have a support sitting behind him, just for, in case the Slark does find that initiation, he can at least Phantom Strike away by jumping to his ally.
But at least Universe is able to make a little bit more out of nothing and farm the opponent's jungle too with this Firefly. He just TP'd out, but he's still trying to limit that gold lead that C9 can get away with at this point. And they aren't able to push that fast. As you said, they don't have the greatest pushing lineup and they have to deal with living armor, but still EG is not getting significant amounts of harm.
Oh, Zai's going to be picked off here in the top lane, throws out the macro pyre, does what damage he can to Eternal Envy, but he knows he is very, very dead. Not holding on to a TP scroll up against the Slark is oftentimes fatal for these supports.
So Universe is in a position to grab Fata, but can they really kill him? 1,300 gold, and then they had to worry about the counter initiate from Pilot Eye on that Sand King. So again, they're in a situation where it's just
two-man clap. That's a great start for the fight for Cloud9. They're immediately going for Universe. The living armor immediately ripped through as both the Ion Shell as well as the Fire Panda burns through that one. Now they're going to jump on the Treant Protector. Up next, Wall Replica plus the ultimate. All going out. Overgrowth holding these heroes underneath the tier 1 tower. They're going to continue to go for more. Fata makes his jump away. Bone 7 also making a clean extraction there. And Cloud9 maybe looking for a reinitiation here. Pilot Die takes a crit to the face. And Eternal Envy was looking for an opening. Burrow Strike onto Arteezy. Jump in. Two-man clap once again. Eternal Envy going straight for Arteezy. Nice jump away there from Arteezy. Beautiful play there as he makes that Blink Strike away to his ally. And that actually stops the incoming damage from that Slark that could have finished him off. Bone 7, meanwhile, gets picked off. Dove into the middle tier 1 tower. Gets that one farther up. Arteezy still being chased by Eternal Envy. Jump in once again to his ally. Eternal Envy looking for that one, but a big crit from Veda will finish him off. Now the clap on his eye. Bounce back. Flame Break was good, but not enough to save this two-headed dragon. Fear is going to be up next, though, and he doesn't have a reincarnation either. Eternal Envy not getting the pounce just yet. Still looking, though. Veda with the haste rune, though, is going to be able to catch up quite easily, and that's going to be a third death on the side of Evil Geniuses. Almost all of their cores dying, at least the most important ones. The Wraith King and the Phantom Assassin did go down. Cloud9 got to be so happy with that exchange.
Yeah, Arteezy can't play aggressively at all. He's throwing his daggers whenever he can, but most of his blink strikes are actually used defensively as opposed to offensively, and that's not PA's strength. And she needs to be able to get ahead by getting kills, and she just can't go in at all. There's too many spells to deal with. Sand King with the blink dagger and his high amount of mobility, and of course the Ion Shell.
Universe. He's done for. He actually, the epicenter still went off. Either way, epicenter or no, it seemed like he was going to be dying anyways. Eternal Envy probably would have had enough damage to kill him either way. 9-2, Cloud9 taking a very early lead the first 15 minutes of the game, showing something that maybe we haven't seen too much of Cloud9 before in the last couple of weeks. A lot of early aggression in the laning phase and establishing a heavy amount of dominance.
Yeah, I mean, they're making great use of the Panda pick as well as a Slark, and Eternal Envy again just left completely unchecked 2-0-5, and on top of that he's able to just PBD.
Yeah, PBD is going to be caught out. Veda gets him with the clap, and that Ion Shell, man, this is an amazing combination. The Brewmaster, Ion Shell. I mean, we forget about the power of this early Darkseer, and we normally look at him and go, okay, Vacuum, great team fight ability, the Wall of Replica, really great into the late game, but this Ion Shell does so much work, as the analyst S was talking about. You've got so many heroes on the side of Cloud9 that want to be in close range to Evil Geniuses. This means that that Ion Shell is made even more powerful by the synergy between these heroes.
He even had a terrible start, too. He had an awful start. He was level 1, like 2 minutes into the game. He had to go to his jungle, and then he came back to try and defend the tower, and then he died, and still all they really need is a level 4 Ion Shell from him. And he's been using his wall a lot, too, which is what I like to see. It's a lot of people wait for the perfect vacuum wall, but that's not necessary with the hero.
Old Man Fear bringing back an item that we haven't seen too much lately on Wraith Kings. It's been a lot of Hand of Midases, a lot of Maelstroms, Blade Mails, Blink Daggers, but here he's got a straight up armlet. By 16 minutes in, this is a big damage upgrade for him, but a lot of survivability added in as well. You can see Eternal Envy trying to find those openings while the rest of his team claims that tier 1 tower. Couldn't quite find much there, but at least they get one pick off on the Jakiro and taking a lot of map control in the process.
EG is just getting annihilated on their side of the map, and Fata is just free to do whatever he wants, and their damage dealers can't do damage because of mostly the Brewmaster, but also secondarily the desinking, and they're just so elusive. Even if they were to get BKBs or had BKB 17 minutes into the game, they still can't put up a good fight.
Yeah, look at this. This is a huge lead by the side of Cloud9 so early on to this game. 10,000 net worth and about 8,000 experience as well. The jump into the top lane, trying to catch out Arteezy, will be able to snag him with the pounce, and I fear this is going to be the end for Arteezy. The Familiar's coming in. He's looking to be able to juke this around, using that blink strike as much as possible, but he's surrounded on all sides. Fada getting close enough, Ion Shell clap, and that'll do it. Cloud9 find another pick-off. Eternal Envy now on a killing spree with so many kills and so much farm. Look at this guy. He's already halfway to his straight-up Scotty. This is an item that you like to see at like 30 minutes in, but he may pick it up by like the 20-22 minute mark.
And what exactly is EG's comeback plan? Looks like they're going for a pick-off on Pieliedie right now.
Yeah, the haste rune spawns in the bottom lane. Universe is going to take a slightly detour to grab that one, but it's not going to be enough to get a kill. Fada actually very aggressively jumping onto Fear. He is so little that he cares about. Universe, if he comes in with the lasso, they don't have enough burst damage between the two of them to actually kill this Pandaren Brewmaster. They're going to hold up Fear for a little bit longer. Brewmaster ultimate goes off. Fear attempts to teleport, quickly cancels it, realizing that it's going to be canceled anyway. They can't really kill Fear, and even if they do, it's only going to be once. Eternal Envy now comes in, will be able to provide that extra damage, and where's the response from Evil Geniuses? Looks like Universe chased away by the Panda, and Evil Geniuses have nothing else to be able to catch Fear and save him from Cloud9 just rotating in. He gets a little bit of extra damage from that armlet, keeps on going. Eternal Envy actually ignores that Wraith King, goes straight for the PPD, now going on to Fear, but the Living Armor will help him out quite heavily. Pieliedie comes in, there goes the Overgrowth. Fear turning this one around. It's going to go for Fada, will be able to pop him. Arteezy helping him out, going for Pieliedie up next, who has no mana, and if they can continue this damage, no blink dagger away, but they have to retreat. Arteezy making another jump out. Fear using the armlet as well as he can, but Eternal Envy will be able to pop him down as the Burrow Strike completely whiffs there from Pi, but it doesn't matter. Arteezy now vacuum back, will be caught outside, throws out a Macro Pyre, but it's still a massacre. GG! 19 minutes in, Cloud9, they lose game one, but they strike back even harder than EG could in game number 2.
I think they should ban the Panda. Fada.
Yeah.
Fada was ridiculous. I mean, C9 just had a very well-constructed draft that game, and EG, I think, a little bit lackluster on their 2 melee damage dealer picks, and there wasn't actually that much they could do. Unfortunately, I think this was a draft win.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. There was certainly some openings for Evil Geniuses, but it felt like at a certain point, once Cloud9 made their basic execution, especially with the way they moved around with the Darkseer and able to provide those ganks with the Darkseer Brewmaster combo, it just destroyed Evil Geniuses. And as you said, what was their comeback mechanism? Well, it didn't really seem like there was much available to them, and that's why they call it so early. They washed their hands of game number 2, and we're going to be going now to a game number 3. So we're going to be passing off to a commercial, and we'll be back with game number 3 in just a few moments.